Oh no, oh no. Blessings. Blessings and good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, for being present for this gathering. Wow, and what a big one it is. I tell you, as soon as I was guided to do a little 4D Trinity on this topic, I've just been inundated with downloads and information of where to go, what to do, what to say, and to whom, of just giving and receiving information, that which I've learned and also that which is just coming in and guided. I'm so grateful you're here today. Blessings. I'm going to have a sip of water. Thank you, everyone. All of the new subscribers here, I am so very, very grateful. Every time I go onto YouTube, there's more and more subscribers. So I thank you and I bless you and I pray and I affirm that all of the information I share here truly serves your path of spiritual growth and sovereignty. And I'm just going to fix our little camera here and just lift it up a little bit. I have my crystals set up down here, helping to hold space for me, and just arranging them a little bit. So this is such a massive, massive topic. And it's very interesting because as an author, as a writer, as an artist, for many years of my life, I've spent a lot of time what I call dictaphone diarying. You know, back in the day when we had cassettes, when cassettes were a major commodity, I always had a small tape recorder. And I would dictaphone, what I call dictaphone diary, just everything. I would talk to myself, and I would, you know, back then I didn't realize my higher self was talking to me too. And I would have these conversations all about my spiritual growth. Well, there's this one chunk that I've called Treasure Enlightenment, which we'll go into another time, which I'm going to make into an audio book, because it's a series of tapes where I'm going through a massive transformation. I call it Treasure Enlightenment, where I'm fully having a Kundalini breakdown, and it's like it's all recorded, and there's crying, and there's snot, and there's fears, and there's love, and there's highs and lows, and it's just very, very beautiful and intense. And one of the main themes, which is so interesting as I was listening back to it, is it's all about protection. There's this ongoing theme throughout it that's just talking about me enabling myself to be protected, me feeling protected, and like wearing certain jewels to feel protected, doing certain meditations to feel protected. And it's so interesting because given the topic today, right, energy protection, and I know at first I was calling this the metaphysics of energy protection, and we will definitely be going into the metaphysics of energy protection. Yet, then right now, I just changed the topic a little bit. I tweaked it a little bit to energy protection, be unfuckable with. That's right, be unfuckable with. Because that's a part of where we're going, and understanding and learning the multi-layered dimensions of all this stuff. And it seems, in my experience and with the students and the people that I've worked with over many, many years in this realm of spiritual growth, is that this journey to enlightenment, this journey to sovereignty, has to do with us facing our fears, right? Has to do with us facing our own shadows down. Has to do with us overcoming the limitations, whether they've been given to us through our family, our culture, the media, traditions, our own head, the way our own heads can spin us out, and our ability to come back to a sense of truth, to come back to a sense of freedom and liberation, Jivan Mukti, and sovereignty, so that we can be in our clear, most authentic, integral space and time at any time, no matter where we are or what's going on. And this is such a valuable commodity for you, for me, for all of us to learn how to master our minds, master our mouths, master our vision, right? Because we absolutely have a co-creator contributionship, we'll work with that, into how life shows up with us, right? And we learn through our healing of our lives, through the path of healing our lives, how to overcome, how to transmute the pain, the fear, the past. Really, is that what is? All that what is. Bear with me. I had this yesterday when I was teaching a yoga class. My tongue was like, so I know, you're good. I love you, and I know you love me too. So please pardon my tongue if I mispronounce or double pronounce things. No worries. It is a part of our path, though, to be initiated, right? As we become initiated into greater light, it seems that we get to go through the dark soul, the journey of the soul, right? The dark night of the soul. And that's how we really get to know who we are. We really get to understand who we are. And as we unravel those dark layers of soul, those dark layers of illusion that have held us back, we begin to see in the light. We begin to see what is truth, what is illusion. Because remember, ultimately, the truth at the core of you is that you are unfuckable with, that you can manage your energy field, your vibration, your frequency. You can master your mind so that you are impenetrable by inappropriate forces, so that you are a master of your time and space. And this is what this is all about. And I think this is so interesting. And we might wait till a couple more people hop on, because I want to ask you, why do we need protection, right? What do you need protection from? So think about it. And I'm going to keep rambling here, and then we'll see why do we need energy protection? Why do you need protection? Is it because we have been given misinformation about the world? We've been given fear-based beliefs to plug into? Is it because we ourselves have come in with certain karmas that connect us to grids that are connected to the mass memory of fear, the mass memory of being a victim? Because that's really what we're talking about, right? We're talking about when we feel that we need protection, we are being the victim. And there's different levels, though, right? You might be like, what? Believe me, I lived for many, many years, 40 plus years of my life being a victim, like really a victim of many different circumstances, of blaming others, of feeling shame, of learning how to come into my own power, as we all do. So we learn as we go on the path of spiritual growth, as we go on the path of spiritual sovereignty, we learn how to see our darkness. We learn how to heal our lives. We learn the difference between what is the truth and what is not the truth. What do you need protection from? And it's interesting because in my experience, there is layers, right? There's layers to our spiritual growth and our spiritual journey. And thank you for dropping a line in the comment box. I'm going to have a look at that shortly. So please drop a line if you're watching, say hello, or again, what do we need protection from? What is it? You know, if you're willing, go ahead and drop a little comment in there. I appreciate it. It helps the whole community, you know, for us to have this conversation. And I'm so grateful. I'm so blessed. This beautiful community. We are growing, and it is just such a gift. So I appreciate everyone being here and all of your contributions. So it seems to me that there is this path, because I know, like I was saying, in those old tapes that I found, that I listened to, the Treasure Enlightenment, where like this whole thing is like protection, protection, protection. Let me wear this stone for protection. Let me wear this bracelet for protection. Let me wear this amulet for protection. And I'm listening to it now going like, wow, I don't do that anymore. I don't enliven stones or look for certain things to protect myself, unless I'm moving into the shamanic world, which is another thing, right? Because in shamanism, we are still working with the dualities of love and fear. And so there's a sense of you creating the correct conditions within your frequency, within your aura, through wearing your amulets, your stones, your whatever your things are, right? Your things, your drum, your all those things, to keep you in tune with the truth. That is, love is the truth. But also so that you can hold space for those or that individual that you are showing that love is the truth, while you dance between the light and the dark dimensions. That's on a side, right? What I've learned, though, ultimately, and really through studying A Course in Miracles, is that love is the truth. And like, it's like we've always known that. I've always known that. Yet through 3+ years, almost 4 years of studying A Course in Miracles, I've come to really, like, it's set in, like the jello, the cement has set, where it's like, yeah, man, love and only love is the truth. But as we go on our spiritual journey and we begin to purge, those aspects within us that are not love, right? As we begin to meditate, as we begin to heal and do yoga and quiet the mind and become softer and gentler, there's these attributes that begin to come up, our fears, our old pain, all these things that we've been housing in this energy vehicle come up to be purged, to be released, so that that which is the truth of you, your true inheritance, your true love and light, is that which remains, right? In your full power and authority. So it is an initiation. As we get to learn about protection, energy protection ultimately is an initiation into the light. We learn eventually that we don't need to protect ourselves in the old ways, because we do not carry those wounds. We do not hold those pains and those grievances of the past, pain of the past inflicted trauma and drama, whether it be past lives, this lives, or a continuum of both. We don't wear that signature vibration anymore. We don't walk with that swag in tow. And so the less and less we need to have protection in that same way, because we become fearless. We become so attuned with love, so attuned with light, that those old ideas that we need protection begin to disappear. They begin to dissolve and diminish. They are all rooted in fear. Now, I'm not discounting the worth, the value, because learning that, that's a part of our eventually coming into that love and only love is the truth. It's our ability to manage ourselves, to learn how to heal ourselves, to master our minds through the darkness, right? That perhaps we've been walking with, through our pain, that allows us to get to the other side. The light at the end of the tunnel, if you will, where we're like, oh, I could put down these heavy shields. Because remember, where we think we need protection is us actually holding the vibration that says, it is true, there is something to fear. And now granted, sure, we're going to talk about many, many layers of this. Granted, now sure, you're in the jungle and you hear there's a lot of hungry tigers out there. You're probably going to say a prayer, right? You're probably going to be like, I don't have my crystal. Okay, I'm going to surround myself in a shield of white light. And I'm going to send love out to all the nature, all the creatures here. And I'm going to step lightly and I'm going to tread mindfully. So let me go ahead and have a look at the comment box. Thank you so much. I see a lot of words. Hey, sister. Okay, April's here. Blessings. And Elizabeth is here. God bless everyone. We dwell in dualism, so we accept both. We need it to combat that or transcend to not. We don't really need protection if we are turned into the love vibration. and read the energy properly. It's all pain in the end and confusion. Thank you, sister. Word. Word to the wise, right? Yet, when we're en route, on our path of spiritual growth, and we don't know yet that it's all an illusion, and we don't know yet that we don't need to buy into it or to feed it, when we don't have the tools to transcend it, then it's very fucking real, right? I know for me, for the longest time, part of my karma and my lessons were with the opposite sex and feeling bullied by them, sexually bullied by them. And there was a period in my life when I lived in New York, and it's in my book, The Reiki Apprentice, where every time I had to walk from my apartment to the subway, which was only 3 blocks, I would be harassed, I would be bullied, I'd be spat at, I'd be picked and poked, literally touching me. And you know, that was a direct reflection of all the fear-based thoughts that I held, that I cherished, and that I also transmitted, and that I radiated. It was like, fuck me, fuck with me, step into my aura. I'm calling on you to fuck with me, to validate that I am a victim, to validate that I need protection, to validate that I am a victim and that I can be bullied. It was a very long grid, a very long lifespan grid for me that now I'm free of. So yes, while I was in that realm, it was like amulets and crystals and all that. Yet, you know, when my heart started to heal and I began to see things differently, I was able to close the gap and reflect and recognize that my mind had the power, has the power, had the ability to either draw in more of that like energy, to neutralize it, or to even deflect it. And as, again, what were those feelings and vibrations and projections about? They were rooted into stuff that had happened to me as a child. They had roots in a very deep past pain that I got to clear and cleanse, and that has been a life work. And now I'm free. Now I'm sovereign from it. I don't walk with those shadows, because remember, when we accept fear, when we feel that we need protection from something, we are giving our power away to it, whether it is a thought in our mind, whether it is a person, a place, a thing, whatever it is. We have now rented out a space in our auric field, in our mind chamber that is connected infinitely through the grids. And we're saying, yeah, fuck with me. And we're also saying, while we're in the shower, while we're in bed, we're saying, yeah, you can be right here next to me. I'm going to think about you all the time. And the more that I think about you, the more it's going to trigger me getting freaked out and feeling that I need even more protection. And actually, the more that energy, that person, place, or thing will become empowered, because I'm thinking about it. I'm giving it my attention. So today we are going to talk about the various layers. We're going to talk about ways that we can, right, overcome that we can, number one, protect ourselves, because I get it. I've been there, right, where you're just like, holy God, call on the white light, because I don't know what to do right here, right now, right? Whatever it might be. There's layers. Yet eventually, what the message is here today is that there is a point where we will arrive, where we realize that there is nothing to defend, where we realize that we are not a body, where we realize that spirit, that love, that light is the truth and the only truth. And we realize that we are that. I am that. And that is unfuckable with. And when we allow ourselves to maintain our practices that keep us in tune and aligned with that truth, that enhances, right, the strengthening, the nourishing, the fortifying of our aura, of our minds, of the frequencies that we transmit out. And there's many different tools that we've talked about over the weeks that are in great service to this. We have our detachment tool, which later I'll come back and I'll put a link here. We did a 4DT on detachment. And ultimately, right, your biggest protection ever is being in the now moment and is being a master of your mind. Your thoughts are so potent. They are such a valuable commodity. And your ability to keep your thoughts clear and as pure as you can, that's what we want to invest in. That's what we want to learn how to exercise, the strengthening of that musculature, right? So that we can maintain diamond sharp truth and that oneness with God, whatever name you give God, which is love. But that's love without an opposite. That is love and only love, that we can maintain that divine communion and see through the veils of illusion. And ultimately, that is the metaphysics, right, of protection. Your power to see through the veils of Maya, to see through the veils of illusion and to collapse them and to choose to see love instead is what actually shifts the molecular structure of whatever we look at, and to the highest degree, for the highest good, changes that reality. And so the interface, the interaction with whatever it is that's in front of us can be that of greater love, that of greater light. And the detachment symbol, and you know what, I meant to bring my, I might have to run here in a moment and go get, there were some pictures I wanted to show you. But when we use the detachment symbol, what we're doing is we are ultimately detaching ourselves from our own thoughts. Our own thoughts, right, are the things that feed the tar body, that feed the shadow, that feed the perpetuation of fear, that keeps us locked in thinking that we need protection. So when we use the detachment symbol, we are basically stopping, we're putting the brakes on our own thoughts that would project out and basically co-create a bigger picture, right? Because every time we think of that thing that we have to protect ourselves from, that person, that situation, we are feeding it, we are fortifying it, and honey, then you're gonna have to buy more crystals. You have to call in more white light. And you know, hey, I'm kind of joking here because I love crystals. I love white light. I'm sure we all do, right? Yet, let's enjoy crystals and white light because we enjoy crystals and white light, and not from a dual plane, not because there is something to fear, not because we are giving power away. And you know what? I am. Pause. Oh, wait, I need to wait till my foot is not asleep. So I'm going to take a moment and I'm just going to run right around the corner and go get some pictures because I meant to bring them to show you. And I have been inundated with notes and notes and notes that I'm supposed to read for today. So we're going to get into those here shortly. Let me go run and grab these pictures. Okay. So thank you for your patience. So this symbol here, the double lightning bolt, that's our detachment symbol. And again, later I'll come back. And you can also search, use the search bar in this YouTube channel and just type in detachment and you'll see the 4D Trinity for detachment. So that's the symbol that we use, that we call upon, that basically detaches us from our own thoughts so we can maintain a sense of being contained and connected to the light. So here's the idea of the aura, the chakras. Look at your light body, right? Look at your light body here. Look at how beautiful and shiny and connected. This is us when we are in the positive. This is us when we are activated. When we are putting our awareness onto love and only love, we increase our frequency, our vibration. We become less and less penetrable by inappropriate forces. And this is what happens when we give our thoughts to fear, when we give ourselves into being a victim. Our aura becomes darker and darker and dirtier, to the point where we create so much fear within ourselves, so much fear-based belief, and we begin to believe that that is the truth. What happens? Like attracts like. So where we have gathered and harnessed and put our power and our belief into that is fear-based, that becomes a film, right? Just like you're in the shower, you're in bed, you're at work, and that thought is still there. That person, that energy, that thing is still like with you, and you're like battling it, and you need your protection from it. Well, the more that we feed it by giving it our thoughts, by trying to fight it, by trying to defend ourselves and attack, the more power it gets, but also the more the more fear frequency we draw to ourselves. And the more fear frequency we draw to ourselves and house within ourselves, the more we're going to attract those kinds of opportunities and situations, again, to validate that we do need to be afraid. Because remember, it's been a while since we've looked at these. This is you, okay? This is a profile. You can see the face, maybe. And then look at all those lines of light moving out from the face and really moving out from all parts of your body. Every time we have a thought, every time we have a feeling, an emotion, and the more deeply rooted a thought is with feeling and emotion, the more power it has to travel exponentially. And what we put out energetically are these grid threads, are these threads of energy, of thought, of feeling, of emotion. And they go out. So every time we have a thought about what we need to protect ourselves against, we are sending them out from us, from our bodies and our minds. And they are connecting with the greater strata of the grid. This is the matrix. This is the matrix of collective consciousness. And it is rooted, it is based in memory, the collective memory of what has been gathered and stored here on this planet. It's specific to this planet. And it's based in duality, based in fear versus love. And it's a game, it's a playing field. And it's a beautiful opportunity and a way to think about the universe so that we can understand, right, the polarities, understand our participation in them. And what lies beyond it is this plane where it's love and only love. And we learn how to use our thoughts, our words, our energy, our emotions to move through the labyrinth of that which is unreal to get to that place which is real. So I want to read a little bit. So yes, what are we protecting ourselves from? And it's funny, I had this, I've just tons of notes. So we think about accidents, right? Random accidents. We think about weirdos or strangers, right? Protecting ourselves from. Intruders of both your home and also understanding that your body is your home. And some people are like, man, I need to protect myself from bad, evil spells, from energy, from negative spirits or energy vampires, right? On my Instagram, I posted defy energy vampires. You know, be unfuckable with, right? What is an energy vampire? An energy vampire can be anyone. It can be someone that you live with. It could be a family member. It could be someone at your work or the whole entity of the work. It can be a discarnate spirit, an entity that is not in a body. It is that which feeds off of your fear. that which feeds off of displacing you from your center. And this can be something from a past life where you've had an agreement and then you've carried into this life. This can be something that has happened in this life that you've been unaware of, you've been unconscious of, and then you realize like, whoa, I am giving my power away to this individual, even though I haven't seen them in 10 years. But because of this past experience that we've had together, even though it's been 10 years, I see how over this past 10 years, they are feeding off my energy. They have been feeding off my energy for 10 years because of this specific thing that they did, because of this specific thing that they've put in my head. And so it's up to us to decide whether we're going to keep renting out the peaceful space, right? The valuable commodity of your peace of mind to this person, place, or thing. There's someone that I've worked with recently and who could not stop thinking about really awful I'm going to put this all in a bubble of light. They could not stop thinking about this really tragic thought specific to their child. And they were like, I don't know where it came from. I don't know why it's here. I just can't stop thinking about it. And they were on repeat with this vision that was really, was really awful, specific to their child. And it was debilitating them. And so not only beings or things can be energy vampires, but ideas, visions can be an energy vampire too, can take you off of your center, can really mess your game up. Especially, this is a mother of a child. She had this implant, if you will, that kept drawing her to think about things in a certain way, to think about this vision, to rerun it over and over again. And remember, so she's going from light body, being pure, to every time she has that thought, moving into the tar body, moving into the fear-based realm. Every time she has that thought, sending it out energetically, and especially because there was a lot of fear associated with it, gives it even more velocity to run those grids, to connect with all of the like memory of all of those thoughts that every mother through all time and space has ever had about having a fearful vision for their child. And whatever that specific vision is, which I'm not going to go into it, that connecting with that, reinforcing that, what we put out returns to us multiplied. That's the grids. So whatever you connect and you put out with, she's putting that out. That's being piped back into her. And she's frazzled. She's at this point where she's like, I just don't even know what to do, because she's overrun with this thought and she can't stop it. So there's like a sense of like, okay, we slip, right? Remember earlier I was saying that there's these stages where we're like, I fucking need protection right now. Give me that crystal, give me that prayer, give me that meditation, whatever it is. Bury me in the earth and pull all this toxins out, whatever it is, right? There's these points of that in our cycles. And then we get to that level of consciousness, like I was saying with A Course in Miracles, where I learned that love is really true, but it's really accepting that. And it's really like beyond believing that, it's like knowing that. It's having faith in that what God says is the truth. And God speaks love. Love is God, right? And so her getting to use her own ability to strengthen her thoughts. And we're going to talk about this. So let's go ahead and start talking about this. And I think Will's here. Blessings. Okay. Yes, you're very welcome. So again, just for anyone just joining in, thank you always for dropping a line in the comment box. And if there is anything that you want to contribute, what is it that we are taught that we need protection from? So I was going through the list, right? Yes, we're going to talk about the different ways to serve ourselves, right? Because okay, I know I'm all over the place. Honey, I got pages. They were just like, my guides were like, talk about this angle, talk about this fractal. So again, there's periods of life as we go through our spiritual growth where we're like, oh, I need protection, right? That's a part of our initiation to the light. That's a part of our initiation into being a warrior. That's a part of our learning how to love ourselves, learning how to embody trust, light, faith, our light body. That's us learning how to choose love over fear, choose light over the dark. And it's an initiation to that which we already are. And so we go through these periods and these points, and then we like get to the point, perhaps, right? Like Liz was saying here, like, yeah, like there's really nothing to protect yourself from. Like once you get it, like things shift and they click. And in my experience, that happens when we've healed our stuff, when we've really gotten to the root of deeper levels of our pain, of our fears, and they become dissolved. And it's easier then to see through the veils of illusion and Maya and to come back to a place of like, oh yeah, there's nothing to fear. I am God. I am that I am. I am connected with the Most High, and the Most High resides within me. And so there's nothing to fear. You know, you can call in your angels and stuff. Yet there's sometimes where we slip, right? We go through cycles. We have karmas. If you believe in all that, you don't have to. I was talking to a girl the other day and she was like, expand, expand. I don't know if she's on today. She usually joins us in the community. But she listens to a guy who was, you know, discounting Mercury retrograde. And believe me, I get it, because it's all just stuff, right? It's all just ideas. Hi, Angel. It's all just information. And you can believe in Mercury retrograde or not, right? And she was saying that this one guy that she follows was just saying that it's complete, you know, well, in my own words, that it's complete BS, and that we shouldn't give our power to it. And absolutely, absolutely. Yet, where we feel that it is affecting us and our computer's having a breakdown, or that email's not going through, then it's like all of a sudden we're like, oh, well, I guess I'm believing in it. And so the same thing happens, right, with this protection, with the dark and the light, where we're like, do, 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 do. You know, you've integrated your inner warrior, your spiritual power, you're one with love and light and with Christ consciousness, and you're like, I'm unfuckable with. And then something happens. Cycles of life happen. And you're like, and you get weakened. And you come into a place of sadness or despair, or like you forget that you're one with the love, with the light, with the force of the almighty power. And that's when we're like, okay, give me that crystal, give me that prayer, and let me remember again so I can reinstate and strengthen that which I know is the truth. Okay, so yes, what are we protecting ourselves from, right? And we think about accidents, we think about car insurance, we think about putting a seatbelt on or a bike helmet, or like the oxygen masks, right, that get released when we're on an airplane, mosquito spray, condoms. If you don't want to get pregnant and make a baby, it might be a good idea to wear a condom. Later, again, I'll come back and I'll put a link here to, I have a little video on the cosmic condom, which is an awesome, awesome, awesome energy tool, metaphysical energy tool, where you simply say, think, feel, I'm putting my cosmic condom on, and boom, like that. You are surrounded by light. Light travels up one side of the outer edge of your foot, up the side of your body, and around and down the other side, and you are surrounded by light. Buy a cosmic condom. God phone. He heard me, she heard me, it heard me say condom. Hey, God. Blessings. Namaste. God's like totally cracking up at the cosmic condom thing. I know. Well, hey, it was your idea. Yes, I know. I know this whole idea of protection, it is such a trip. Oh, yeah. I do, actually. You want me to read that? Okay, Psalm 23:4. So I don't know if any of you have your Bible. Psalm 23:4, it's in the King James. Okay, we're going to read that. And then we're going to read Course in Miracles. Oh my gosh, we haven't read Course in Miracles in forevs. Okay, cool. Yeah, God says, hi, everybody. Yes, we are miracles. We are miracles. Right now, God says this moment is a miracle. Amen. Blessings. Thank you so much, God. Namaste. All right. Bless, bless. Awesome. Okay, so God is like, you got to read this psalm. You got to break it down. And then we're going to dip into a little Course in Miracles. And it's all connected, right, to what we're talking about. So Psalm 23:4. There's a couple lines here. I should put my glasses on. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you, God, are with me. For your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Your rod and your staff comfort me. The metaphysics of that is just so powerful. You know, if you follow me on Instagram, you know that once in a while I'll do a little spinning of the staff. I'll put a little video up there. And one of the hashtags I always use with that is staff of power. And what I've learned over the years is that that staff, for me, it's not about necessarily learning how to beat someone up and fight, right? Although some of those moves are kind of cool. I love dancing with it and feeling the beautiful extension, the divine feminine, being in nature, the wind flowing. You know, it's kind of more sensual like that for me. You know what else it is, though, is that it's come to tell me that that is the staff of power, and your staff of power is your crystalline tube. It is that divine tube that houses your chakras, that houses your spinal column, that is your divine connection to Mother Earth, but that also goes right through Mother Earth and connects you back to God, back to that source of pure consciousness. And also that crystalline tube, it runs up through the top of your head. And again, connects you either end to source, to God. And it is also, as we learn when I teach Reiki, that is the tube, your crystalline tube, in which you breathe in and out energetically, metaphysically, prana, universal life force energy. And that's why we do our spiritual practices. We lay our hands, we clear our channels, so that that breath of life force can easily channel in and channel out, can move in and out with ease. And we know where there's more love and light, where there's more life force, there's more vital energy, and there's more ability to see with your light sight lit, with that third eye lit. And so in this song, I will fear no evil, for you, God, are with me, and your rod and your staff, they comfort me. So when we affirm through our prayers and when we connect, in this case with God, and I know sometimes the G word is like, has a knee-jerk reaction for people, but we're talking about it today. When we connect with that power, right? We're not relying on our own power. We are saying like, I am choosing to align with that rod, with that staff, my crystalline tube, with that crystalline tube of the Most High. And I will walk with that staff of the Lord. I will walk with that. And that is my protection, is having my faith, having my trust, surrendering to that power, to that will, which is beyond my physical will, right? My little will, that I am here as a body, thinking that I am a body on this earth plane. I'm allowing my higher self, as it's connected to source, to God, to be emblazoned and imprinted with the rod, with the staff, that staff of power that is God. Okay, Course in Miracles. So let's see who's joining us here. Oh, King, you're so sassy. Honey, if you're just joining us, then honey, you've missed. I've been reading the comments. Okay, King. Fix your little what's it called? Your crown, baby. Okay, honey. So, lesson 153. In my defenselessness, my safety lies. We're going to just skip here to number 6. So if you have your Course in Miracles book, it's lesson 153, and we're going to go to paragraph 6. Defenselessness is strength. It testifies to recognition of the Christ in you. Oh, and can I just say that this King character in the comments, I don't know you, and I send you only love and light, but it's very interesting, people who are watching, because this is like, someone to say a comment like that is completely unnecessary, doesn't add or contribute anything in the way of love or in the way of light, and really has its roots in needing attention. Swami Origami agrees. I don't know if you heard the Swami there do his little meow. Needing to be seen, which is fine. We acknowledge you, King. But also, it's like kind of a bullying energy. And I'm just calling you out. Just calling you out because you know what? I've been bullied my whole life and I'm over it. And it doesn't work for me anymore. So just saying that I see you. I see you. Okay. Let's take the moment, says Will. And I'm going to interpret that as let's take a moment. So let's take a moment. Let's take a moment and take a breath. And we'll take 2 more. Deep inhale. And a deep exhale. And a full inhale. And a full exhale. Thank you, Will. Defenselessness is strength. It testifies to recognition of the Christ in you. Perhaps you will recall the text. This text maintains that choice is always made between Christ's strength and your own weakness seen apart from Christ. So again, you can choose to align with that staff of power that is in Christ or that is in God, or you can not. And you can rely on what you think is real, given your physical faculties, your senses. Defenselessness can never be attacked because it recognizes strength so great that attack is folly, or a silly game a tired child might play when he becomes too sleepy to remember what he wants. Now, it's interesting, this lesson. In my defenselessness, my safety lies. You know, again, as I was saying earlier, for years, I would have such fear of men, of being accosted inappropriately, right, sexually, with that dynamic. I was learning how to harness, how to hold my sexual power, my sexual center with grace, with wisdom, and with detachment in the world. And that was one of my big lessons. When I walked down those streets and was poked and prodded and tripped up and whatever, right, by these male energies, I was so full of defenses. I was so defending myself. I would spend time before I left the house thinking of how I would defend myself, thinking of what I was going to be walking out to, like a landmine field of just like these men, like zombies, which is what it was like. It's like what it was like. But again, my concentration on that, my sending the energy out into the universe, what I thought about returned to me multiplied, created that reality. At that point, I didn't know about detachment. At that point, I was sure I had some crystals, but I wasn't using the mind properly. I wasn't training. I didn't know that I could master my mind at that point. And so I was defensive. I was defensive, and as I walked out onto those streets, I was expecting to be fucked with. And as I was expecting to be fucked with, I was fucked with. Because I was defensive. I was walking out like, put them up, you know, who do I need to fend off first? And over time, through a healing in my heart, that transmuted, that shifted. And I was able to then spend a moment before I left the house, not thinking about all the ways I would have to defend myself, but instead thinking about how I would be connected to love and how I would send love out. And I would consciously make eye contact with all of these males, and I would place love there. And I would be like, I see you. I respect you. I would extend respect. And that created a whole different reality. Side note, right? So we know, we've talked about before in our, you know, one of the things that in the spirit, you know, I apprentice with shamanism directly through the grids of shamanism, right? I've had one or two teachers with medicine and with ceremony, but really it's a direct connection with that source, right, of wisdom. And remember, I've said this before, that what I've learned with it is that your environment is alive and responds, reacts to your awareness of it, to your perception of it. And when we think about science, right, it's the same thing. How you look at what you look at changes what you see. So the observer effect, right? Anybody here into quantum mechanics, quantum physics? I screenshot a few things earlier because I wanted to read this to you to validate. Validate? There goes the tongue again. Okay. Quantum mechanics. In physics, the observer effect is the theory that simply observing a situation or phenomena changes that phenomena. This is from Wikipedia. Okay, so you simply observing a situation changes that phenomena, changes the situation. In science, the observer effect means that the act of observing will influence the phenomena being observed. For example, for us to see an electron, a photon must first interact with it. And it's this interaction that will change the path of that electron. So your environment is alive and responds to your perception of it, to your awareness of it. Walking down the street, me preparing to be defensive, to feeling like I needed to attack and defend myself against all of these evil people and protect myself, created that energetically, metaphysically, created those conditions for me to then have to battle through, to walk through. Yes, observer effect, right? Well, yet when I shifted that, when I learned that I could see things differently, and I sat with that, and I really honored that, and lived that, began to live that, my experience walking down the street completely shifted. What I decided to see was love instead of fear. We all have that capacity. And then I didn't need to protect myself. It was like it all shifted. So I'm going to read from 18, from paragraph 18, the first few lines here in that same lesson, lesson 153. In my defenselessness, my safety lies. So again, as I focused more on love versus fear, I was defenseless walking down those streets, and I was actually safer not having my mind on all those things I needed to protect myself from than when I was walking down those streets and projecting all the bad things that were going to happen to me. You get it, right? Yeah. So 18, in time with practice, you will never cease to think of God and to hear God's loving voice guiding your footsteps into quiet ways, where you will walk in true defenselessness, for you will know that heaven goes with you. That is that rod. That is that staff. That is that rod of peace. Now, God also on the cod phone, wanted me to read a little bit of this. Again, if you have your book, it's page 19 in the text. It's the atonement as defense. You can do anything I ask. So this is Jesus, right? This is channelings. This is in my words, channelings of Christ consciousness. Christ is saying, you can do anything I ask. I have asked you to perform miracles and have made it clear that miracles are your natural, corrective healing. Oh, I'm sorry, pardon me. I have asked you to perform miracles and have made it clear that miracles are natural, corrective healing and universal. There is nothing they cannot do, but they cannot be performed in the spirit of doubt or fear. Miracles cannot be performed in the spirit of doubt or fear. When you are afraid of anything, you are acknowledging its power to hurt you. Remember that where your heart is, there is your treasure also. You believe in what you value. If you are afraid, you are valuing wrongly. Isn't that interesting? Miracles cannot happen. They cannot be performed in the spirit of doubt or fear. Going along to number 2, paragraph 2. True denial is a powerful protective device. You can and should deny any belief that error can hurt you. And error, in this case, is any belief that is based in fear. So you begin to allow yourself to deny that that is true, that that has power, that anything can hurt you. This kind of denial is not a concealment, but a correction. Your right mind depends on it. Denial of error, denial of fear-based beliefs is a strong defense of truth. But denial of truth, which is all that is love, light, God, source, blessings, results in miscreation, the projections of the ego. Now, I just love all that. I love how it's all tied in. Very, very, very powerful. So blessings with that. So being in the now moment is such a powerful way to experience what we try to seek when we feel that we need protection. You know, as I was telling you earlier, this person I was working with this week had that awful, vision of her child that just was on repeat and repeat and repeat. And it was like driving her crazy. She didn't know where it came from. She didn't know where it started. It was just there and there and there. And it was taking her out of her present moment. It was taking her out of her center of power. It was taking her out of her staff aligned with source, aligned with light, aligned with love. And so the work that we did was about bringing her back into a space where she could see clearly the space, the truth in her heart. Again, like the Course in Miracles was saying, if we don't keep our awareness in that space that is co-creating with love, co-creating miracles, co-creating with light, then we are miscreating. We are miscreating error, that which is not true, and we are keeping ourselves plugged into the density of the 3D, of the third dimension, where there is love versus fear, where there's this push-pull. And that push-pull is the dualism, is the duality of right and wrong, of left and right, of binary thinking and systems and beliefs, right? And so me being able to work with her and help her for herself to navigate, bring herself back to a sense of center and of power, collapsed all of those ways that she was feeding that vision. And I'm going to share with you what I am guided to share with you now. If you have a vision, or if there's a person, right, and you're in that place where you're like, man, do I need protection? I need to get this out of my head. What do I do? Or there's a situation that keeps occurring in your life whereby you're like, why does this keep happening? Why do I keep seeing that thing? I don't want to see that, right? Ultimately, we're seeing whatever we're seeing or experiencing outside is that which we are giving our time and attention to on the inside. So again, the detachment symbol, stopping our thoughts before they keep contributing more and more and feeding that grid, plugging into it, and so receiving more of it back. Releasing that need to sustain it, right? And sometimes it's hard because you don't know where that thought has come from, right? Was it an energy vampire? Did someone do something, put a spell on me, which I don't believe in, right? Yet there's times where you're like, well, wait, is that a part of that? And so maybe you're guided to do some work in the 3D, right? And through the dimensions, with the drum, with the rattle, with the sage and the whatever, right? To diminish that with the energy letters. And we're going to go into that in our meditation later, because I know it's real. When it's real, it's real. Yet it's not real, right? Yet when we forget that it's not real and we're working out those karmas, we're working out, we're unraveling. It's like a braid. It's like, oh, all this stuff is like these fears and these visions, they're all woven together. Well, let's unravel that and release all those grids from being compacted and connected together. And let ourselves come back to that sense of center and freedom. So where there is a consistent thought, feeling, emotion, vision, thing that keeps showing up in your life that you're going like, I do not want to keep seeing this. I do not want to keep experiencing this. And I'm going to start working on, releasing this. And ultimately, really, your ability to just say like, I release, I let go is enough. Yet, when we have these affirmations and we're like, I am pure, I am sovereign, I am a light being, I'm connected to source or to God, to love, to light, etc., etc., we can affirm all that stuff that we want on a conscious level. We can be like, I'm doing my affirmations, I'm saying my prayers. Yet on an unconscious, subconscious level, if there are still beliefs, if there are unhealed systems in the root of you, then there will be a conflict. Then that staff, your staff of power, your crystalline tube will not be congruent. It will be incongruent. The lines of your consciousness will not be perfectly reflecting your unconscious, your subconscious. And so that's where we do the work, right? But the more we do the work, the less afraid we are, the less we're like, oh, I'm afraid of my shadow, of the tar body, of my dark side, because you get to know that it's not real. And you get to know the feeling, the ecstasy, the beautiful passion of sovereignty, of being free of those things, and how powerful and empowering that variable is versus living as the victim. And so it's with great joy that you're like, well, let me do this work now. Let me pray. Let me meditate. We'll call in. What does my higher self guide for me to do? That I can release this pain, release this pattern. So again, I keep getting sidetracked, but it's all divine, right? So again, if there's a thought, a person, a thing, an experience that keeps happening and you're like, why, what, why? Create a bubble of light. And in this case, like this person I was working with, every time she had that awful vision, right, with her child, put that vision in a bubble of light. Put that thing, that situation, that person, whatever it is, into a bubble of light. Contain it, wrestle it up, right? It's like wild horses, just wrestle, put it all in a bubble of light. And every time that thought comes back, every time you have that feeling, put that in the bubble of light and zap it with light. So add light to it. Okay, so you're containing it, putting in a bubble of light, and you're also zapping it with light. And you know, light is the great transformer. Light raises vibration. It raises frequency. And so what you're doing is you're, for the highest good, containing those thoughts, those feelings, those visions, whatever they are, in a bubble of light. And then also every time as you work them out of your system, as your divine higher self guides you on how to navigate placing love there over fear, healing whatever the root cause is that's creating the rerun, the glitch, if you will, in your matrix. You're placing light there. You're placing love there. You're placing light there. And that light is refining, is dissolving for the highest good what is ready to be released at that given time and space, so that that darkness begins to dissipate. The tars begin to lift in the light. And what you were not able to see before becomes visible, because your light sight is less distorted. Your third eye vision, your ability to see the truth in your heart, your ability to see love and light beyond the veils of illusion is refreshed. It's like hitting the refresh button, is restored, is revitalized. And that's where our sovereignty is, right? In my defenselessness, my safety lies. Energy protection. So that's one of them. And you know, so we're going to keep going here. Yes, again, so if you think you need to protect yourself, then you do. If you don't think you need to protect yourself, then you don't. That's like a nice little baseline there. And it's so interesting because I know people who do not wear seatbelts, yet they chant protective mantras. And on the other hand, I know people who do wear a seatbelt, but who don't do any mantras. There's a person that I know who has such love and such a connection to Source. He was in a massive car accident on the highway, was not wearing a seatbelt, in a big SUV kind of a car with like 6 other people. Head-on collision. He went out the window, triple rolled, ended up on the other side. You know, these highways in the States, how there's like 4 lanes going this way, 4 lanes going this way. Collision, flew out of the car, ended up on the other side where the traffic was coming in the other direction. Was able to stand up, dust himself off, and get into the meridian out of the way of traffic. Not even a chiropractic session. Like, he was unfuckable. That's amazing. That's a miracle. And we are all entitled to miracles. We are all entitled to that level of experiencing reality. You know, when I first got my very first tattoo is actually the middle strip here. If you can see, is this one right here. And when I got it done, I was 21 years old, living in Ireland. And I just fell in love with it. And I felt that it was really me. I felt like it was a part of my skin that was beginning to come up, and it needed to be acknowledged, this symbol, through the tattoo. There's a spiral in the middle. And I remember asking the tattoo artist, because he created the design, I remember asking him, what's the spiral about? Because it's based on ancient Celtic tribal art. And he said, oh, the spiral is that which protects you. And I was like, yeah. And at that point, I mean, I was already in my spiritual path from the age of 16, but still at 21, that's not too many years in. Excuse me. And it's really not about time, yet sometimes it is. And so I was still in a lot of my coming ups, my up and coming and learning, right? And so there was a lot to fear. There was a lot of duality. And I was like, oh yeah, protection symbol, bring it on. And then 7 years later, I got the bottom part added to it. And there's 2 dots at the bottom. And there was a refinement of my belief systems. And this refinement was like everything with balance. It represents to me this yin yang. It represented the duality. But I didn't understand yet that we could go beyond the duality. But it represented that I was like, oh, getting deeper into understanding there's this love or there's this fear zone that I could be within the world. 7 years after that, it's interesting because it was this, and then 7 years after it was this, and then 7 years after that, then we get to the top, which is a heart. And that is the realization of where I was like, I was beginning to get it. I was like, love is the truth. You know, when you really start to get that, you're like, your heart is opening. You're beginning to really deeply heal these aspects of yourself. And you begin to recognize that love is the truth. And so it's this interesting progression that I see on my body of where my consciousness was at, you know, and thinking about where your consciousness has been at over the years and the different aspects that have sort of reflected back to you. And maybe it is in body art, you know, maybe it is in an old amulet you used to use to protect yourself from evil spirits. And now you don't believe in evil spirits anymore. So you've given that amulet back to the earth or burned it or whatever your higher self guided you to do. It's very interesting how we shift our consciousness and awareness. Okay. So when your mind, body, emotions, and spirit are matched to their perfection, your light side is activated, right? And again, the metaphysics of what you see, what you decide, how you look at something changes how it acts in your presence. And because we all have our own perceptions, what you see in something can be your reality. And what I see in something can be my reality. So someone can see something evil in someone and they'll be like, ooh, I didn't get a good vibe from them. Totally freaked out. And the other person can be like, I didn't get anything. It's just where we're at, what we decide to see, whether we decide we need energy protection or not, right? And again, those energy vampire, you know, that whole term really speaks to, if it's a person, because, you know, thinking back over my life, I'm like, oh, I have had roommates that have been energy vampires. Like we all have our training. And I'm not going to assume or project that you have the same training as me by any means. When the heart opens, okay, Will is saying, then language fails when the heart opens. Yeah, it's beyond the word, even beyond time and space. You know, those people, those energy vampires, those people that we would give that label to, they are our teachers. They are blessings. And it could be your mother, it could be your father, it could be a friend, a stranger at the post office, it could be a roommate. They're in the house, right? It can come in all these different ways, but there's a value there, because ultimately the value is you remembering that you are love, that you are light, is being able to face your shadow. Really, when an energy vampire, when you realize that you have energy vampires around you, or a person, place, or thing that is acting in that way, that is your higher self saying like, okay, I'm seeking to be initiated into my higher self more. I am seeking to get into shadow work, to begin to not only face my shadow down with love and with light, and to allow the healing of the Most High to happen through my mind, body, emotion continuum, but to integrate that which I've learned, to not push it away and to create even more separation, but to unify the teachings and the wisdom so that you can come out the other end and be with that knowing of what is real and what is unreal, that fear is unreal and that truth and love is real. So energy vampires represent the opportunity for us to do shadow work and for us to remember that love and light is the truth, for us to reinstate and to heal those parts of ourselves, those areas where there are wounds, because we wouldn't be having those experiences if there wasn't something powerful there for us, if there wasn't something that's ready to uplift us, and that something is you, and that something is love. So I also did want to read from this week on my Instagram. My sister had tagged me on a picture that was a repeat of Unfuckable With, and I reposted it and I added, "Are you unfuckable with? Can you be kind, compassionate, and express super clear, healthy boundaries for yourself at the same time? Can you say no thank you without feeling guilty? Do you fiercely live from a space of truth and integrity? Do you have a consistent spiritual practice, like meditation? Are you with the conscious practice of mastering fear-based thoughts and turning them to love and light? Is your aura clear, leak-proof, and impenetrable by inappropriate forces?" Yeah, that's what I thought you're unfuckable with. I had fun with that because, again, there's this shift, right? There's this arc that we go through. And being able to keep healthy boundaries is a big one when it comes to energy vampires, right? People that we feel that are sucking our energy, they really just are having difficulty in being able to cultivate their own light. And so they've found a way to plug into you or us. And this is all just in a bubble. So it's not creating or projecting that at all, but just so that we understand the paradigm of how the metaphysics, the invisible realms of how this works. Those beings are not meditating. They're not doing their own work to connect with source, with light. They're deciding it's easier to plug into you, to me, to it, to us, and to feed off of us, to sustain themselves, to nourish themselves. But you don't have to let them. And the way that we don't let them is, number one, creating healthy boundaries. I know, again, I have lived with roommates. Now in reflection, it's going to be in some of my books down the line, let me tell you. But now in reflection, I'm like, I lived with an energy vampire for like 3 freaking years. And I was so unconscious. And now I am so conscious. Again, not to walk in the world with like my swords and daggers and looking to be suspicious of people. But there's just an awareness and a healing has taken place through that experience with that teacher, with that energy vampire turned teacher. There's a medicine there for us, right? But I've realized that, oh my God, this person was totally sucking me dry, and in more ways than one. Physically, metaphysically, draining and straining my energy. And there is even a time when I was working with 3 apprentices, and you will as well. I know there's a lot of Reiki masters here that watch this. You will in your own time, and you already do have students, you have people, you have clients, you have friends that you serve, that you hold space for, that you facilitate healings with on many different levels. And maybe there's a sense where that you are dispensing wisdom, you are dispensing teachings of a certain order. And in a way, there might be a silent apprenticeship. And I know we talked about this a couple of 4DTs ago. So there was a period in my life where I had one really solid apprentice. And there was also 2 other women who were apprenticing as well, but it wasn't such an intimate apprenticeship as I had with my main apprentice. They were peripheral, but they were still apprenticing with me. And it was a conscious acknowledgement. We had the conversation. And do you know that one of them was a total vampire? using these words. And I usually, honestly, I'm only using these words, energy vampire, because it's in the grids, and it's a conversation piece to a degree that this community, or a community in this realm of protection, energy protection, would understand and has discussions on. But honestly, if you know me, I don't go around talking about energy vampires, right? For today's discussion, though, it's a thread in this, because we're talking about energy protection. And because it's very valid. So over time, what I realized with one of these apprentices is I realized this deep shadow in her, of course, which was a reflection of the deep shadow in me. And I also realized how drained I was in her presence, and how off my center I became, and how much her kind, sweet ways were really manipulating me. But I was unconscious. And a part of my ego was like, ooh, I have 3 apprentices. Ooh, you know, not just 1, but 3. Ooh, bullshit. You know, it's all just, that was all coming from a place of ego and illusion. But also, it was a divine teaching, and I bless it. Because this individual took me down a path whereby I really saw, you know what I saw in her? I saw a version of me that if I did not correct my own ego, my own shadow aspects, I was going to end up being like her. Manipulating people's energy inappropriately. And if you read, again, my book, there's links down below in the Show More box, The Reiki Apprentice. My whole story is documented of my true story with my Reiki master, who had some manipulative ways, let me tell you. Massive lessons, massive shadow, psychic manipulation, all sorts of lessons. Check it out. The Reiki Apprentice. So I've had my lessons, my comeuppance with this. And ultimately what I had to do is I recognized, and when I saw a version of myself in this apprentice, I was like, oh, hell no. Let me really take a mirror and look at myself, disband these parts of myself that I know I could easily become if I don't check myself and heal and seal these aspects and these corridors of self. Let me get to this. And while I'm at it, my higher self is like, and you are going to release that apprentice. And that's what I did. I called her in. We went for a meet. I didn't call her to the home, but I called her out to a cafe that was a neutral spot. I gathered up all the trinkets and all the bits and bobs. She was one of these people who would always gift you things. And this is something to be mindful of. Okay, so here we go. This, again, this might end up being like a 2.5, 3 hour 4DT. We'll see. Because it's so interesting and intricate the way that this energy works. And often the people who are energy vampires, they are unconscious of it. Sometimes they're conscious, you know, and we think of like, where they're like scheming and like trying to do stuff, right? To trip us up or to take our energy. But sometimes they're unconscious and they're just like, what? Like they don't even know it. It's just a program that's running them. It's a part of their unconscious tar body that's driving them, that met with my unconscious tar body that was driving me and being, I trust everyone. I love everyone. I would love to have 1 million apprentices. Let's get to work here. I want to share what I've learned with everyone, which is why I do this, you know, these shows and stuff. But on that personal level, she had always given me these little gifts and trinkets and jewelry and this and that. And what you learn, part of my shaman initiation really showed me this. And she was a part of my shaman initiation. People are a part of your initiation, right? From fear to love, to you seeing beyond the veils, is that I realized that all of those things, those gifts that this apprentice had given me, was a way that she was plugging into my energy. Remember, we talked about this. Ooh, what did we talk about this? Which 4DT was it where I was talking about the crystal ball? Oh, yes, crystals. Crystal energy. Later, at some point, I'll put a link here. It's a most recent 4D Trinity. Again, you can go to the search bar and check in crystal energy, but it's a long one, 2.5 hours. But I talk about this story about a crystal ball that was gifted to me, and I won't go into it here. But honey child, if there's someone that you have like don't know where their motives are coming from. I feel kind of weird, or something in your gut or in your heart is like, your inner soul GPS is like, feels fishy. It just doesn't sit right with me. Honor that. Really deeply honor that. There's some wisdom there for you. Again, sometimes it's conscious on their part, sometimes it's unconscious, but this was a way that this person had given me just all this stuff that was in my house and on my altar. That only after, once the veils had fallen and I was like really strongly guided, like I need to detach, delink, unhook from this person, unhook her from me, and like let this go. Bless her, place love there, but like give her back all these trinkets and all these jewels and all this stuff that she had given me, and release her. And so I did. I gathered them up, met her at the cafe, and I looked her straight in the eye and I told her that I saw her. I saw her manipulative ways. I told her, I don't trust you and I'm done working with you. I feel our work here together is done. And I had attuned her up all the way up to master level. Doesn't matter. It's a blessing. It's a gift. And I'm so grateful for it. So that was a side story, but just in terms of, if there's someone that you feel really deeply that is not in attunement and alignment with love, that has a, and again, we have to be mindful. Are we being suspicious of them? Is there really something rooted? And it's not just in your mind, it's like in your heart, in your gut, really listening to your intuition, your spiritual, your soul's GPS will never lie to you. You will always be protected. You will always remain protected in the right place, in time, away from harm and danger. Even though it might happen to someone you're standing right next to, and I'm all in a bubble of light, I'm not affirming any harm, any danger to anyone at all, only love and light. Just saying, for the sake of this conversation, that when you hold the power of love and light within you and your ability to perceive it and to see it and to decide that that is the truth, that is what your reality will be. Energies, people, places, things that are seeking to take our energy, drain our energy, energy vampires, whatever, be mindful, because they will give you a gift or several gifts, something to remember them by. And that is the way that they tap into your energy, especially if you put that gift in your pocket, especially if you put that gift in your home. Be very mindful. And now this is more like very shamanic level of stuff, right? But you're watching this now. And if you're watching this now, then perhaps there is some juicy, things that will resonate only for the highest good. And this is really powerful stuff, because we don't see this stuff often. So take a moment, who in your life has those kinds of traits? And have given you gifts. I can't tell you how many gifts I have released, either to the earth, to the big dumpster. And these are not the kind of gifts that you necessarily give to your friend. These are the kind of gifts. I have even taken a hammer. And your higher self will guide you. Are you supposed to put it in the fire? Is it burnable? Will it completely penetrate, through whatever it is, to disintegrate it to ash? Are you guided to take a hammer? Or are you guided to put it in the earth? Are you guided to just give it back to them if you can, like I did with The Apprentice? So very interesting, because if you feel drained, if you feel your energy is lagging and you don't know why, and you're a very sensitive person, you're an empath, be very mindful of what you've allowed yourself to carry that doesn't belong to you. Okay, Will is offering resonate damn straight. Cell phones. Please tell us a little bit more your thoughts. Oh, computers. Cell phones and computers. Yeah, tell us a little bit more about where you're going with that, Will, and we'll have a jibe with that. Jobs. Okay. Yeah, illuminate us a little more on that, and we'll get back to that in a moment, Will. Okay. So tripped out stuff, right? But again, these people, these places, these things, these situations are teachers bringing us back to the light. Amen. Because life is but a dream. Life is simple. Life is beautiful. Life is blessed, if we shall allow it to be. And remember, the more that you work out all of this stuff, all the darkness, all the tar, all the miscreation, all the belief, that is rooted in fear, the more that you exorcise that stuff out. And sometimes it's a yoga retreat to come back into your heart center. Sometimes it's learning a modality like Reiki, so you really learn how to heal yourself, heal your life. Sometimes you go to a shaman. Sometimes you go on a retreat, or you take ayahuasca. I mean, whatever. Or sometimes it's all of it. Sometimes it's none of it. Sometimes it's just you deciding, I'm over it. I'm done. Because really it can be that simple. So let me tell you that it can be that simple. Or sometimes it's a series of events over many years of your life, like it was for me, until getting to that point of realizing, like, oh, only truth is real. And what is truth but love? And again, I learned that really hardcore through A Course in Miracles. Okay. So we're going to read a few more of these notes that I have here, and just see what resonates. So again, knowing that this healing, on a conscious level, you might be aware, you might be affirming, I am surrounded by love and light. I am surrounded by love and light. And absolutely, that is powerful. This works. Yet if there's a root belief that you can be fucked with, that your energy is not safe in the world, if there's a real root belief in that you're unconscious of, that's in your subconscious, then there will be a conflict. And you might keep experiencing situations that are not in alignment with, I am protected, I'm surrounded by love and light. You'll be like, why isn't this love and light thing working? Or maybe it starts to work and the miracle starts to happen, yet it's not fully activated. And that's because there's a level within the subconscious realm that still has a belief that you can be threatened, that you can be hurt, that evil exists. And we're moving out of that paradigm. We're moving out of this 3D polarity. We're moving, this is the show. This is 4D Trinity. And I know there's so much information, and I really don't, I don't go out of my way to watch all of the other presenters on YouTube. I'm very mindful, and I don't even choose. It's like my higher self will guide me if I'm supposed to watch something. But I know there's all of these, there's a language, and it's a beautiful language of light about densities and consciousness and dimensions. And what I'm here to share is that 4D, from the gifts, from the divine, that I'm here to share is about the heart center. If we think about the main 7 traditional chakras, the 4th chakra is at the heart. And 4D, 4th dimensional consciousness, is all about living through the space in the heart. And I believe, and I teach, that your heart center and your third eye are 2 and 1 the same. They're twins, they're cousins, they're brothers, sisters, brothers, but whatever you want to see it. But that as your heart opens, so too does your pineal gland become activated and turned on, and your light sight becomes activated. You begin to see through the veils of the duality of this 3D plane. You begin to relax into trusting your heart. And that's where we're going. We're moving out of a place of needing protection, right? And moving into a place of trust and faith, where protection is not even like a part of the conversation anymore, because we walk so strongly, whether you believe in God or the Christ consciousness. Very interesting. I'm getting a phone call, but it's not the God phone. But isn't that interesting? Right as I'm saying about God and Christ consciousness, the other phone rings. So yes, we are learning then. We are using these applications, using these opportunities to allow a healing, for us to move away from those past karmas or those past beliefs that are rooted in fear. So we come back to a space of peace, of truth, of power. 4D consciousness is lifting the veils of illusion and living from the heart, choosing love in our words and our thoughts consciously, over and over and over again, developing the spiritual will that it requires, that no matter what stranger on the street or what situation we're in shows us, that we are able to place love there. And okay, so another side story, when I lived in Venice by the beach years ago. And really, I think about it, and really, I've been in a shamanic training my whole life with the dark side. I don't know about you, but there's been peaks and valleys. And I had a roommate there who was definitely, well, I'll be very mindful what I say, all in a bubble of love and light. What I will say is that I was dealing with a lot of very interesting creating healthy boundary energies. And she had a very heavy manipulative dark energy, which I didn't see at first, right? So the lesson. Okay, and I see Will has written some more, so I'll get back to that in just a moment. But this idea of protection. So I'm walking on the street. I had just gotten all these checks cashed. And isn't that a trip? My rent was only $900. I was like a mile away from the beach in Venice, and my rent was only $900. It's probably, 5 times that now, right? Over there. But I had just got these checks cashed. I had $900 in my handbag. And I'm walking down the street from the bank back home. And around that area, I'm not sure what it's like now. I haven't been there in a while, but there was a lot of crystal meth. And there were a lot of random people on the streets here and there in certain areas of the neighborhood that would be just tweaking out. And you'd see them kind of like shadow box with their demons and the other dimensions and freak out and, just have all these weird things. But you just keep going. You're just love and light, and you do you and they do them, right? So I'm in the busier part on Lincoln by Rose, right, in Venice. And I'm crossing the street. I'm waiting to cross the street. I press the crosswalk button, have my $900 cash in my handbag, and I look across the street and I see traffic is going. I'm waiting for the green light, right, to walk. And I see this person that is like terrifying, that is this huge, big, gnarly looking dude who's obviously tweaking out. He's like, just like going crazy on himself and in the energy space around him. And I'm going like, oh my gosh, okay. Yet I'm totally guided, like I'm just totally trusting I'm supposed to cross the crosswalk here, right? That's when we live with like, what is my divine guidance in this moment? And my divine guidance was like, it's okay. He looks gnarly. He's weird. He's freaking out, just you're going to cross the street here. And I was like, okay. Like tripping out. And I knew that the moment that I made eyes with him, that he would connect to me. And it was like too late. Because as I was sort of asking for guidance, waiting for the light to change, I was looking at him, and he saw me, and he looked at me, and he did like that weird thing where he's like, he connected with me, and I was like, fuck, no, because then it strengthened this connection, and I was like, okay, but still my higher self was like, you are gonna cross the street, you are gonna walk across the street, and I was like, it's like walking over the hot coals, So I'm like, okay, I trust, I have faith. The light goes green for us to cross the walk. Take my breath. I'm holding on to my $900 cash in my purse, and I don't know what could happen, but I'm just trusting, and I'm walking across the street, and I'm remembering about my lessons in New York, right, with the male energy. And not that there was a sexual thing with this guy, but there was just a cray-cray thing, right, tweaker kind of a vibe with him. And he's crossing the street, and he's like he's just all over the place. Energy all over the place, his limbs, and he's like stopping and looking at people in their cars and like rah, rah, and all this stuff. And I'm just walking, and I'm looking at him, just projecting love, projecting light, walking. And then we start to get close, and he's like, and he looks at me, and he's coming closer and closer, and like he lifts up his arms like he's gonna like hit me, like, and it was like the slow motion. And he looks me right in the eye, and he lifts up his arms as if he's gonna just like hurt me or something. And at that moment, my higher self, Merkaba, activate, and it was like boom, and I just had to think of it, and it happened. And he went like as if he was gonna try to hit me. Like I swear to God, I could feel my adrenaline, like my cheeks got flushed, and he like went, and it was as if. And it was, my Merkaba was so fucking activated. It like, boom, like he tried to do something to me in a bubble, tried to harm me, right? Yet my Merkaba was so activated, it like, he deflected him. He actually like fell back, and I just kept walking and kept walking and kept walking. And I was like, holy shit! Like it was just the coolest experience. I mean, crazy. Scary in a way, yet it was, again, validifying like what you believe in. Where you have your faith, where you place your energy is where it will show you. Now also, your intuition, right? Being your inner compass, your inner GPS will always tell you. If when I saw that crazy dude across the street, if my higher self was like, yeah, go the other way, I would have totally have done that. But my higher self was like, stay here. You're going to see love and light. You're going to, you're going to cross the street here. Then I did that, right? Because not all crazy situations, not all crazy people or inappropriate, opportunities are for us every single moment. We don't have to do that stuff every moment. And your higher self will always keep you in the right path. And when you have the trust and the faith to follow it, it will show you things. When I had that experience, I was like super illumined into a new level. That was another level of initiation into really trusting and cultivating faith in love and faith in light. So thank you for listening to my little story. Okay, so Will went deeper. I have a brother in God, someone who was like your friend. I'm confused by his notice in his gifts, and so I have to separate myself from him. Motives. Okay, my friend. So Will, likes to talk in riddles. And I mean that with total love, light, and respect. So with what you shared there, I'm grateful you shared more there, but I'm going to leave it up to any of our watchers and viewers in the community to make of it what they will for themselves, unless you are guided to break it down a little bit more and clarify a little bit more. I'm super happy to read and to share with everyone what you write. Otherwise, if you want to leave it there, that's fine, right? But often I've found in our connection, dear Will, that you're a highly intelligent person, and your ability to communicate and really in ways speak in tongues is mighty. And it takes an ability on the receptive level, like me, or for whoever's reading or listening or watching, to really crack the code and read between the lines. And I appreciate that, and I respect that. Believe me, I do. And I love you. So with all the love and light and the respect, again, if you wish to go deeper and write a little bit more and clarify what you're talking about, I'm happy to speak to everyone on that level. And if it's just best left what you've said, then that's great too. So we're going to come soon into our meditation, where we are going to go through, we're going to do a bit of a shamanic meditation today, and we're going to learn how to heal and seal up those parts in our subconscious that are perhaps allowing in inappropriate energies. We're going to further learn how to move ourselves out of a fear-based quality of thinking and into a love-based thinking. Because fear uses the mind, right? Fear uses intelligence, and love uses the wisdom of the heart. Now, I still have notes, so let me just scan them and make sure that there's anything else I need to talk about before we do our meditation. Another thing of thinking about energy protection, if you feel over and over in a situation at a job or with certain friends or even family members, work colleagues, if you are continually drained, or you feel like you need to wear all your crystals at the same time to protect yourself from them, why are you there? Again, creating healthy boundaries, creating the ability to say no, thank you, to draw a line in the sand, and you can still be compassionate and kind, yet at the same time to practice sovereignty and detaching yourself from the situation, from the circumstance, from the people, place, or thing, right? And again, sometimes it's karma. Even if you do walk away and you say no, thank you, it might come back again in a different way, in a form. And when and if it does, in my experience, that's when it's like, oh, I got some stuff here I get to work out so that I can transform it, transmute it, and know who I am without this experience in my life. So I see that Will did expand a little bit. We're going to get to that in just a moment. So yeah, no one can take anything from you. And no one can give you anything unless you allow it. So really this comes down to, what are we allowing? And like A Course in Miracles was saying, what are we valuing? Where we place our value. Are we valuing fear so much that we're making it real? And when we do, we're miscreating. We're creating more energy for the tar body to thrive off of. And not just our tar body, but we're adding to the collective, right? To the grid. We're adding to the collective fear and to the Earth's tar body. And as you begin to straddle these dimensions of self and individual and collective, you begin to see yeah, we are infinitely connected. I am one with all of you, with all of consciousness. We are one together. So what are you allowing? You do not need to allow it, right? Okay, and one more thing. Talking about the individual and collective work. So what are we allowing, right? So what is manipulating you? But also, what are you manipulating? Because what I realized is being a victim for so much of my life was my way of manipulating energy. What? Okay, cool. Will is totally writing a book here. I love this. This is going to be awesome because I've noticed that YouTube is now doing replay of all the comments. So when people come back and watch this, they'll be able to read all of that. But we're going to go into it right now, Will, in a moment. Just finishing this point. So I realized that I was actually being a manipulator because I was always the victim. I always needed to give myself this inappropriate attention and give that part of the world my attention. And so I was being a manipulator. I was copying that energy that was manipulating me, drawing me into being a victim, those belief modes. It is such a trip the way this stuff works. And ultimately, it's the bully. So the bully puts it out there, and then you repeat it, either to others or silently within. And then your mind and your emotions start to feed the world's tar body. So we think about family, we think about friends, our social media, the government, the news, all this stuff, right? The stuff that they tell us. I mean, I just had lunch with someone. And I love this person, but we do life in a very different way. And basically having lunch with this person was like sitting with CNN or whatever the news station was, because all they did for the whole hour and a half was like repeat everything that they heard on the news. And I'm not like a highly political person, so a lot of this stuff was like over my head, in one ear, out the other, and I was just like holding space, listening, and like, okay, honoring my friend and hearing her out. But I was like, who are you? Like, let's get down into the nitty gritty. And when it was finally my turn to talk, I was just breaking down heaven on earth and how all this stuff is really illusion and all this stuff. And it was kind of deep because her eyes started welling up, and I was like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to hurt your feelings, but I just don't share your validity of all that stuff. That basically she was repeating from the TV, from the media, from the news. Like, who are you? What are your beliefs? What do you want to believe? In fear, do you want to believe that all the stuff that is put out there for us to be afraid of is the truth? That's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to. So what are we repeating? Because the more we repeat all that stuff that is fear-based, yeah, the more protection we're going to think we need. Okay, Will, we're going in, my love. Okay, darling, let's see this. And thank you so much for sharing, Will. I really appreciate you sharing. So we're going to start here. What I will say is that in my experience, his energy stays with me and brings me down. I don't know why I associate certain energies with him, but I do. At the current moment, I am working with an energy that gets in the back of my Uber, and gets on the phone and talks about movie deals, actors, and wonderful people with amazing lives. Okay, so you're talking about like an energy, I'm assuming, we're going to keep reading, but I'm assuming that you're kind of talking about an energy vampire, kind of an energy when you're driving your Uber, this guy gets in your car and then you have to like be in for the presence of him. This should not bother me. I should be happy for everyone. However, it is the cartoonish way in which each of these experiences happen that lead me to believe that they are associated with the same energy. Like the man twirling the mustache on railroad tracks. It's such a good analogy. I I'm putting very difficult to put this into words other than because of my past with my friend and the gifts he gave. Cell phones, drugs, computers, lots of sexual advances. I spurned his advances, but there was a time when I was very high, when I consented to have sex with him because I had an idea in my head that I had to. I can't explain that other than the fact that I was high. Now the story could go on and on and on, and I could tell all the crazy perceptions and stories that happened, but I'm learning that those are medicine for me, period, and each experience I have. Whether it be with this energy or with anyone else in this world, my options are to open my heart or not. So though this energy has caused me stress to the point where I was bawling last night, wow, honey, of course I smiled through it because I knew on the other side of that release was peace, with some peace. I think he's still going. Okay, so we'll keep reading. And this is it. Okay, was peace. Though it has caused me stress, I see it as a teacher who is learning me to connect each heart-centered moment to each heart-opening moment. And isn't that just so powerful? I mean, and this is it. This is it. These people help set us free. These teachers, these teachings, they are medicine. Absolutely. They are absolutely medicine, if we should allow it to be that. Right? And that is you being a master. That is you mastering your time and space. That is you, that is me, that is us, individually, collectively, deciding to transmute what we think we're seeing. Right? Because ultimately, everything that we're seeing is a reflection of what's inside of us that's still working its way out. And that is the work, is to be heart-centered, is to be in the present moment, and to listen to our divine intuitive guidance. And yeah, and again, sometimes that guidance is like, yeah, you're going to stay. You're going to walk across that street with the crazy person. You're going to have sex with the, with the tar body person. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. Ultimately, so that we can learn, we can ascend, we can heal, we can understand those motives that drive us on that shadow level, but ultimately so that they can be brought into the light. So that they can be brought into the light. And when those darker shadow aspects are brought into the light, right, their power is disbanded. And your power is strengthened. And again, it's your power to be present in the love and light that is the truth. And so it is. And I see King has returned. Oh no, it's Sarai. I'm sorry, I thought you were King. I just saw the orange thing and without my glasses. Sarai, blessings, dear. You're late, but you're here. You cried too last night. Yeah. You might later, Sarai, you might go back and watch this from the beginning. It's deep. And sister, I know we've been through our stuff together. We've been through our stuff together, and which I'm not gonna say here, but I think you will find it very, very, very potent and powerful, some of the pointers and the understanding of what we're talking about with the shadow and energy protection, energy vampires and whatnot. And shortly we're going to do our meditation. I just wanted to go back over my Instagram. And again, if you are on Instagram and you want to follow, my links and stuff are down in the show more box. You can check it out. Okay, so yes, having a consistent spiritual practice will help you maintain your light sight, will help you stay in the light, right? Which is out of the dark. Okay. Is your aura clear, leak-proof, and impenetrable by inappropriate forces? Okay. So yeah, things like, wearing a crystal on your person, earrings, in your pocket, in your bag, in your wallet, whatever it might be. We do that so that we can be clearer. When we have a crystal, when we hold, these little necklaces or these charms or these things, right? And even a prayer, we are allowing ourselves to consciously come in contact with our higher self. We're saying, I am inviting in the nourishment of the Most High. I am inviting in the nourishment of that white light that gives me the clarity to be true to myself, that to be integral and authentic with my heart, with my truth. I'm allowing my energy to be aligned and connected with the most high source, with the most high love and light, so that what I see, what I sense, what I feel is connected to that also, is a divine reflection of that to the greatest degree that it can be at any given space in time. So we are consciously connecting ourselves, right, to the light in that way. Buckle wish, blessings. Oh, isn't that a trip? Will is saying, you have been a manipulative bully too. You know, so have I. So have I. And yet that was yet I was like, I'm a victim of being bullied like my whole life. Meanwhile, when I really was doing my shadow work and getting to the heart of all this stuff, I realized like, oh shit, I've been a bitch. I mean, not that that's how I walked in my life, but I have had enough experiences where I was just unconscious, just unaware, and just going off of a program and a paradigm that was rooted, that I came in with, that was a part of my karma, to like be brought from the dark to the light, to the point where it was like, oh, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to keep attracting those situations and those circumstances. You know, how do I change it? How do I shift that? Oh, I start to meditate, maybe play with crystals, maybe learn some prayers. You know, if you do find yourself in the situation where you need protection in the world, I know besides, you know, our crystals, our burning sage, our sending, you know, I love Marianne Williamson. She is the queen as far as I'm concerned. You know how like in the pop world, Beyonce is like Queen Bey? Well, to me, in this spiritual world, Marianne Williamson is like the queen, okay? All right. So if you don't know her, check her out. She does weekly talks on A Course in Miracles, Marianne Williamson. Okay, she's at a website, marianne.com, if you want to check her out. But anyway, she always does her services, and she will always either end or begin with a prayer that is, there are angels ahead of us, angels behind us, angels to the left of us, to the right of us, above and below us. And this is just such a beautiful, beautiful thing to come back into. And I'll tell you, okay, so there's so many stories. So I lived in Ireland, right, for a long, long time. And one of the girls told me this story over a good old pint in a dirty old pub, I tell you. But she told me this story where she lived, I mean, there's parts of Ireland where you're like way out there. There's no street lights. It's just dark. It's just dark. Although it's beginning to more lights and lights. And there's actually a Walmart out in the boondocks where there used to be only fields. I digress. Okay. So she told me this story where she was walking home from the pub one night, and she had had a few pints. So she wasn't like fully on her game. She was a little wobbly and buzzed and whatnot. She's walking home, and there was like this weirdo dude who was walking towards her. And she got this really, like, you know, there's people where you're not the only person in the world. There's going to be people you're going to cross paths with, walking here, walking there, even if it's late at night after the pub. There's other people coming out of the pubs and whatnot. But she was living in a very rural area, and she was walking home anyway. So this guy starts walking towards her on the street, and it's kind of a very dark, dim light street. And just her gut was like, whew, something didn't feel right. And she wasn't too far from home, and there was nowhere for her to run. And she just felt like, I just have to keep walking. But she was terrified. Her legs started shaking. She started getting wobbly. And she's like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And she believed in God, and she believed in angels. And like her divine spirit, she said, within her just told her to ask and to call in 2 angels to walk with her either side, and to imagine those angels were like 18 feet tall and like 5 foot wide. And she was like, and she just like made it so. And she just firmly walked right past this man. They crossed, and she could feel like his energy. Like she was like, ooh, she got like the weebie-jeebies as they crossed. But then like in another block or two, she was in, and she saw that he didn't see where she went in home. And so she was like, okay, I'm good. So later on, she finds out, after talking to some of her friends and sharing her angel story, which to her was like that was one of her big comeuppance of like trusting the light, trusting the love, honoring your higher self, the divine guidance. Comes to find out that that man, and again, this is all in a bubble of light, not running any grids here, just sharing the story, that man had committed several rapes in that locale, and he was caught like a week later. Like I don't know, I can't remember the whole thing, but anyway, you get the idea. She had gotten a vibe. She didn't know what it was. She called in her angels. Her angels protected her as she made her way home. Come to find out that dude was really gnarly, if we may judge it. You know what I mean? That there was really a reason, if you will, for her to feel like, I need to protect myself right the fuck now. Blessings, Buckle Wish. I've never seen you before. Thank you for joining us. Okay. To hold accountability is theme in my life. I know, girl. I know. We're constant creators. It is such a trip. But you know, we learn how to transform that. We transmute that. And that's, I know, a couple 4DTs ago again, when I come back. At some point, I'll put a link here for the 4DT that was, I think it was called Living Your Dharma, Be Free of Karma. You know, and that's where we're going to. So as we work out the shadows and we work out the fear-based stuff, and we don't need to protect ourselves as much, and we can just be free and be love and have loving experiences and kind, beautiful experiences with the world, more than like reasons why we need to fight or protect ourselves or defend ourselves. When the tipping point shifts, right, we begin to experience heaven on earth, and it's easier to live from the truth in your heart, to live from your soul's compass, to live from the true, authentic part of you that is always guiding you into your perfect, again, in this case, safety, to your perfect origin points, set points of being, not only where your truth is, where your perfect majesty is, where your divine opportunities and divine appointments are, but also to where you will always be protected. That intuition will always guide you in the right way. That's your Jiminy Cricket, right? Your inner guidance system. Your intuition, your inner GPS, your higher self is like, breaker, I'm trying to get through here now. You know, it's always talking to us, but are we still are we creating the correct conditions through our meditation, through our practices, our journaling, our vision quests, whatever it is, our Tai Chi, or whatever it is, to be attuned with those subtle frequencies of the divine, because they're always talking to us. Your higher self is always showing you, guiding you, holding space for you in this direction or that direction. And sometimes there's no direction. Sometimes it's just being right where you are. But living your Dharma is being so powerfully in tune, in honoring your authentic truth and your integral intuition, that as you do that, you stop creating karma. You stop creating. So I don't know, Will, is it about, when you see that person on the phone, is it about just not, again, why are you there? Is it about just not picking up that passenger, letting it go to another one? Like, I think you can agree or not agree. Like, can you choose? I don't know. I think when I do Uber, like, you have to take whoever it is, right? And then if you don't, then you get like a bad star or something like that. So I don't know if you can do that on your end, but is there an option for you when you see that it's like the guy who's in the back of the car that kind of freaks you out? Like, do you have to take that job? And you say, no, thank you, and wait for the next person? I don't know how it works though on your end, but that's just a suggestion, and that's just an option for us to remember, that it's like, if we keep finding ourselves in these situations that are just like hammering in the tar body and just like these lessons over and over again, when you fucking get it, like, why do we need to keep repeating it? You don't. I'm here to tell you, you don't. You don't. Whatever the situation is, my friends, that you don't. You can choose freedom and sovereignty. You can choose, like, well, that would be a handy $20 job or $100 job. But am I exchanging my peace for that? And is my peace more valuable than the commodity of the dollar bill or for the whatever? At the same time, if your higher self is like, nope, you're going to take that client, you know, you're still working out the spiral, the rungs of the lessons there, then so be it. No judgment on yourself, no judgment, right? One beautiful affirmation, the teacher I did my first yoga teacher training with in New York, he used to have this mantra, and he would say it all the time. Like every time I'd go to class, he would always, you just hear him, like he'd be folding the blankets or doing something, and he would always say it. And he'd say, only nice students come to my studio. Only kind students come to my classes. And so if you're watching this and this resonates and you have situations where you're like, man, I keep getting these funky clients or this weird client with these weird sexual energies or whatever, knowing number one, that you can say, no, thank you. Create a healthy boundary, because that's part, you know, when we don't, this is what I was talking about with my, with this person I was working with earlier this week who had that vision, that consistent vision, this like awful vision that had to do with her child that she couldn't get out of her head, right? She's like, I need energy protection, you know, so we were working on that. You know, when we be mindful, be fucking mindful, this is how the tar body works. It is seductive and it is manipulative. Be mindful of what your higher self is guiding versus not. Because those perpetuating situations that keep us on repeat with those tar body interactions, if it's time to say no thank you, pull down the curtain, close the door, say namaste, I place love there, and now I'm putting my focus in a different direction. If it's time for you to do that and your higher self is telling you that and you know that and you're not honoring that and you're saying yes to that client or to that situation or that whatever, that person, that apprentice, that friend, that whatever it is, and you keep saying yes to the tar body instead of yes to the higher self, your intuition, your wisdom, what happens is you begin to create the correct conditions for your energy body, for your aura to get cracks in it, to become fractured and fissured. And what happens is we start to get leaky energy, where we get holes in our aura. If it's perpetuated like Swiss cheese, and sometimes heavy drugs just do this. If you read again my book, The Reiki Apprentice, I did some serious LSD, some serious acid called Gorbachev, right? If you're old enough to even know who Gorbachev is. And it was a beautiful, amazing experience, yet, woo, it ripped me open. And Sarahi, I see your writing. I'm going to read those in just a moment, darling. But it had ripped me open so much. My aura was like Swiss cheese, honey. I was getting all sorts of beings and entities and information and voices in my head. And I mean, like, I was tripping. And it took me many, 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 many months to get my aura back in like a shiny, impenetrable, powerful, just love and light, you know, orb surrounding me. Yes, I was guided to do that LSD. Yes, that was a divine lesson. And now the lesson is in the book for everyone who's guided to read it, to perhaps learn from. But the point here, again, is just that it's very, very important to be with integrity as we come up in these realms and to learn what is the true guidance for us and what is distracting us and keeping us and perpetuating and feeding the tar body, feeding other people's tar body, and creating the correct conditions for ourselves, for those vampires to have a feeding place in us. Okay? Very important, because the energy can become leaky. And I know a while ago, I think it was even in a tarot thing I did or something, maybe it was a 4DT recently, where I said, I'm going to do a video on this soon, on leaky energy, because I had been going through this recently. And I'm not at the end of it yet. I'm not to the full part where I'm ready to give a fully concise offering, but soon, we're gonna break it down. So Sadahi says, April 24th, Marianne, she's in Santa Monica. She's on tour. Yeah, girl. And you know what, Sadahi, every Monday, not every Monday, because she lives in New York now, but I believe it's one Monday a month. She's at the Saban, which is in Beverly Hills. Like, it's on San Vicente there in LA. I had a guru drive me in a Lyft one day, LOL. Word, finding your truth. Okay, girl. Yeah. So yeah, Marianne, she is on tour around the States right now, but also if you're in LA or in New York, she does fierce weekly talks, marianne.com. She the queen, you know, and there's many queens, but I know for me, she holds a certain frequency and a fierceness, and she sometimes gets a little political for me, sometimes, because that's not my domain, that's not my grid. Yet when it comes to spiritual devotion and a fierceness and a discipline that love is the truth and only the truth. Woo! She's unfuckable with. Okay, my friends, let's take a moment. We're going to get into our meditation here shortly. And I know this is a long one today. Yeah, we're almost at our 2.5 hour mark. I'm sure our meditation will take us there. So if you need to get water, go to the loo, or if you want to lay down or find your comfortable seat for this meditation, if you want to grab your crystals or whatever you want to do, we'll take a moment as we settle into this. Oh, wait, there's one more thing. I forgot. What I was going to tell you earlier is, you know, when I was younger, during the treasure enlightenment days, when I was always dictaphone diarying, and that one period where I had that massive Kundalini enlightening, one of a handful of those Kundalini experiences that I actually recorded, I remember I would always do this. You know, it's interesting, in our spiritual path, there will be a meditation that you get into and you'll be like, wow, this really does it for me, you know? And then it might be like, oh, I need something new. I need a new fix. I love it and it's good, but I'm like ready for a shift. So anyway, when I was really starting to dismantle and understanding that, right, the lessons of energy protection, those lessons of energy vampires are there as teachers, are there because we are en route to light. They are there as we ascend and learn that light is the truth, that love is the truth. Yet en route to dismantling those shadow parts of us, to dismantling, we become vulnerable. We are not who we once were. And we're that, remember the butterfly, the caterpillar to the butterfly, like we're kind of like metamorphosizing and transforming and coming into a different version of ourselves. And while en route, it can be very, very scary. Again, down, show more box. I have written a book. It's free, called The NOWOSPHERE. It's an ebook. It's on Amazon or on iBooks. And it's all about this stuff. When you start to heal your life and you begin to peel back the layers and you get into your authentic self and really begin to honor that, it could be a very different world to what you're used to living as the not 100% honest version of yourself. And it can be scary as shit because you're like, all those shields and defenses that you used to walk with in the world. Like, I know as I was letting down my defenses, I was like this naked, vulnerable child where I was like, and you'd have to learn how to recalibrate your energy body. So thank goodness I had teachers that came in and I prayed for it. I called it into my meditation. I learned the Merkaba meditation. I learned, you know, deeper metaphysical energy tools, which I share with you here. And there's so many more that we will continue to share. But you start to learn new things. And so during that treasure enlightenment mode, I remember I always did this Om meditation. I had a cassette tape and it was this Om meditation, half an hour thing. And then there was this, something shifted and my energy shifted. And I was like, I need to learn a protection meditation. This Om is not cutting it anymore. I'm going out into the world and I'm still feeling vulnerable. I need to be able to lock it down. I need to be able to seal up my aura. How do I do that? You know? And one of my friends was like, oh girl, you need the mirror. You need the egg mirror meditation. I was like, the egg mirror meditation? Tell me all about it. And basically, and just so that you know, if it resonates with you, it's just thinking about going into your meditation and placing yourself in an egg-shaped orb that is filled with light on the inside and that all around on the outside has reflective mirror. So on the inside of this orb, you are in this beautifully, completely connected, impenetrable orb, egg-shaped kind of an orb of light, surrounded by light in this orb, this egg orb. And on the outside, it's all mirrors. So whatever comes into your energy, into your field, crosses your path, it's simply whatever that is reflected back to it. And it doesn't get in to you. And I tell you, I do have a lot more tools. Now this is like, we could have a part 3, 4, 5 of this, but that's just one that if you're like, oh yeah, it resonates, you can call it in. You don't even have to do a full half-hour meditation. You can take a moment, take a breath. It's like Wonder Woman, Superman, when they would he'd go into the telephone booth and he'd pull up his thing, or Wonder Woman would twirl around a few times and then, the Merkaba runs. And then all of a sudden she's got her superpowers. Not that you don't ever have superpowers. We always have superpowers, but sometimes it takes a moment for us to let's fully activate this shit. Let's, activate get this up and running. And so like that, you can take a pause and you can be like, egg of mirrors, activate. Boom. And it is done, right? You're in a situation, you're at a party, you're at a social gathering, wherever, on the street, at the beach, there's some weird people, I don't know, whatever it is. Mirror of eggs, egg mirror, right? Activate it, and it will be so. And it will allow you to stay in the light and allow whatever's around you to simply not see you, but to only see light wherever they think they're looking at you is, but they will see a reflection of whatever they are. And it allows you to stay in a present state of light, which is you are not judging them. And again, without thinking about the detachment symbol, it's keeping you away from you creating projections and judgments and thoughts about what you think is going on around you. So you stay clear. Because remember, the more we think, the more we're joining with those like energies that are of fear, that are of the dark, that do think that they need protection. And the more that we think that stuff, the more we feel it, the more it becomes our reality. Yet that is not real. And all of these opportunities and these teachers of the shadow, of the dark, of why we even need protection in the first place is only bringing us back to the beautiful place of that we really don't need it. And there's days where we're like, you know, I am one with God. I am one with the Christ consciousness. I am white light. And you're just like, unfuckable with. And then there's other days maybe where you're like, oh my God, I need like to run my Merkaba constantly. And I need to like surround myself with 1,000,000 angels and every animal totem in the just calling you in. You know, it just depends and it's okay. But ultimately we are getting to shifting that tipping point where we have to think about protecting ourselves less and less, honey. Unless you don't want a baby, then wear a condom. You know, it's like that level of protection. Wear your seatbelt. You know, but we don't have to worry so much about energy protection because we are choosing love over fear. We are choosing light. So, one more sip of water. And we'll get into our meditation. So we'll take a moment to again find that comfortable seat. Maybe you want to just recline. If you do Reiki, maybe you want to lay your hands on yourself, uncrossing legs and arms. Maybe reclining, laying your hands, or maybe not. Maybe there's a mudra you want to sit with the hands, with the body. We're going to take a deep inhale and a deep exhale. And a full breath in. And a full breath out. And one more deep breath in. And a deep breath out. Calling in our angels, our guides. Calling in our animal totems. Calling in all the love and light-filled beings that love us unconditionally. We welcome you. We welcome you and we thank you for being present with us here and now. We thank you and we love you. We bless you, we thank you, and we love you. We bless you, we thank you, and we love you. We bless you, we thank you, and we love you. Seeing yourself surrounded by your angels, your guides, your animal totems. You're going to imagine your body that's seated or reclined now as a vessel that stays in its shape in this space and time. And also at the same time, you're going to imagine shrinking a version of yourself down, 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 small, small, small. And you're shrinking down to a size that can fit into your own heart. You see a version of your body shrinking down, 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 down. And now you see yourself in this beautiful space of your heart. And you see all your totems, your animal friends, your angels, your guides with you here. Look around yourself and see this beautiful light-filled space of your heart. Breathing it in and out. And connecting with your angels, your guides, your totems. You're going to begin to fly out from the space of your heart and find the closest sinkhole or drain in your home, in the space where you are, as this shrunk down version of yourself with your shrunk down angels and guides and totems. And you're going to go heading into that opening. Maybe it's a bathtub opening. Maybe it's the sink. And you're going to go down. And you're going to go down. Almost as if you're on a slide. Just feeling yourself releasing and surrendering with your totems, with your angels, just going down through this labyrinth, the twisting and turnings of pipes. Going down, 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 down this piping. Imagining you are going down, and this piping is leading you down further and further into the earth, into the earth, into the earth. And at the end of this piping way, you're released out into what appears to be a rose quartz crystalline cave. You look around yourself. You see all of your totems, your whole team surrounding you, and you see yourself in this beautiful rose quartz crystalline cave. And you walk. You see an opening, and you walk, and you feel this cool rose quartz crystalline, how it feels under your feet. You are barefoot and you're walking forward, looking around you, this beautiful tunnel, this beautiful crystalline cave. And there is a path, there is a T-junction. You can go left or right. Listen to your higher self. What is your guidance to go left or right? And make it so. Begin to walk in the direction you are guided. You walk down through this tunnel about 20 feet or so. And you get to a door. Notice the door. See its color, its shape, its texture. And then see the door handle. Notice what it looks like. And then see your hand reaching for the door handle and opening the door. You walk in, you walk through, and all your guides and totems come with you. What do you see behind this door? What do you see behind this door? Take a breath in and take a breath out. As you look around this beautiful space, this new space that you find yourself in, feel yourself guided to walk in deeper still. And as you walk in deeper still, you notice a hall of mirrors. You notice that the walls turn from whatever it is that you perceived into being mirrors everywhere. You look around you, you see yourself in the mirrors. You see your totems, your angels in the mirrors. And there is one beautiful, big, bright, shining mirror down at the end of this corridor, down at the end of this space you find yourself in, and you are guided to walk towards it now. It's a magic mirror. It's a special mirror. You are surrounded by your angels, your guides, your totems now as you stand in front of this mirror. And this mirror has special powers. As you look in this mirror, you see the truth. You see the truth that you are love, that you are light, that you are a light body. And at the same time, you see where you have allowed yourself to rent out your power, to rent out your energy to others, to people, to places, to situations. As you look in this mirror now, Who is it that is plugged into you inappropriately now? Who is it that has hooks in you? Who is it that has tentacles connected to you now? And without judging, without adding or projecting, just allow yourself to observe. If you can't see in this mirror, ask your higher self to show you. And it's quite all right if there is no one or nothing hooking into you. If that is the case, then you are simply here performing this meditation, holding space for those that are doing this work now, and we thank you. Now, if you do see, be mindful. Who do you see that's plugged into you inappropriately? Where are they plugged into you? Where do they have their hooks or their tentacles in you? What part of you? What chakra? And notice how that might identify itself or illuminate itself with perhaps an illness, a sickness, a physical weakness that you experience, a way that you experience being energetically drained. Just being aware now, moving from unconscious to conscious, and gathering this information, seeing who's plugged into you now inappropriately, perhaps draining your energy, taking you out of your center. As you see the reflections, as you see this metaphysically, energetically in this mirror, take a moment to honor each one of these people. Maybe it's a place, a situation, a vision, and thank them. Bow and namaste to them, for they are your teachers. Thank you. Thank you, and bless you. Now with this information, you're going to gather your energy, gather yourself, and you're going to begin to walk out through this hall of mirrors, walking out, back into that space that you saw when you opened the door, and you are reaching the door with your totems, your angels, your guides. You're going back out through this door, and you close it behind you. See your hand closing it behind you, and turn around and say thank you through the door. Thank you to this hall of mirrors, to this entry, to this gateway. And now you begin to walk back towards that T-junction, walking down that corridor, rose quartz hallway, back to that place that you turned down, and you're going to go back out through where you came, walking back out as if you were going back to that entry and exit way of that pipeline that brought you there. But what happens is you notice as you walk down to your left, you see an elevator. The elevator doors open and you walk over. You walk into the elevator with all of your angels, your guides, your totems. You see a list of numbers from 1 through 11 on the elevator, the inside. Which button do you push? Which button do you push? Ask your higher self to guide you